Yeah. So Kaushik Prabhu is telling about so many commodities are existing due to so many desires of living entities. Yeah. So because of lust only, there are so many material bodies. So by deliberate spiritual intelligence, one can conquer the enemy of lust. Whatever one hears for a long, long, long amount of time, he will develop that consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other thing, bro? Remember from yesterday's discussion? Please. Either you can unmute and speak, or you can chat.
Guruji, one more point is there that devotees are
What, Prabhu?
one point is there that devotees are always very eager to accept the statements of Krishna put forth by the Krishna. But demons are always very eager to concoct the statement of Krishna to justify their own means to concoct the statement of Krishna and distort it so that they can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct. Yes, bro. Thank you. Krishna Guru is writing. We constantly try to be someone who we are not. That brings misery. So basically, this is Bhakti Prema statement. I don't want to, I said, I don't want to be someone else. I don't want to imitate someone else. If we try to imitate someone else, unnecessarily we come to frustration. Thank you, bro. Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And demons who don't like Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So the questions, and we discussed about how questions and answer, the value of question and answer depends upon the caliber of people, those who are involved in asking those questions. So Arjuna is asking not for himself, but for the benefit of everyone. Thank you. Yeah, so we discussed about primary purpose of Lord's appearance. So there are primary purpose and there is a secondary purpose. So what is the primary purpose? Oh, yes, Ravi Prabhu, what is the primary purpose? The primary purpose you mentioned. Krishna comes in this world primarily for liberating the good souls or paritranaya sadhunam. And what is the secondary purpose? Yeah, to destroy the miscreants, annihilation of the demons. Thank you, Prabhu. Now, in this verse, paritranaya sadhunam, there was one word which was coming as sadhu. Anyone remembers what was the definition of sadhu? Krishna mentions, and Prabhupada gives a lot of clarifications about this word sadhu. Any any understanding about this word sadhu? What is the definition of sadhu? Who is sadhu?
Guruji,
Okay.
that Bhagavatam Titikshava Karunika Suhridam Sarvadehinam Ajata Satriva Shanta Sadhunam Sadhu Bhushan. Guruji, that is the definition of sadhu, having all these qualities. And second
Yeah, but
definition is
Did Prabhupada give this one?
Acha, you are asking according to Karpat that I don't know.
Srila Prabhupada's purport. Okay, Karthik was saying a person who is 100% Krishna conscious is sadhu. Srila Prabhupada said that purport, anyone who is in Krishna consciousness is sadhu. Okay. And anything else remember? What is the definition of sadhu? Yeah, Karthik was saying is correct. All of you. Any other clear? What is the definition of sadhu? Srila Prabhupada especially very clarifies there only. Who is sadhu? And sometimes, even if some sadhu may appear to have some external faults, like Srila Prabhupada said, no? His behavior may not be exactly very polite, gentle, and harsh sometimes, but he said he should be considered a sadhu because he is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness. So it is, yeah, who cuts the knot of material bondage. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So we'll continue from our discussion today. So yesterday we discussed from Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam. And also there was one word which appeared yesterday, that is Shrijami. Shrijami. Shrijami Aham means the Lord. The Lord also has a form. We also have a form. But Lord's form is not created. The word is used is created. It is not created. He appears by his own Atma Maya. Shrijami Atma Maya. He appears by his own sweet will and his own internal potency. So yesterday we had discussion about this 4.7 and 4.8. And we discussed about who is the avatara for age of Kali Yuga. So who is the avatar who comes especially for Paritranaya Sadhuna? Vinashaya Dushkritam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did by killing the demons in the heart of people. But Vinashaya, but the avatara who primarily comes, like Kalki comes, okay, he comes for Vinashaya Chadushkritam. And Buddha comes also for setting up the Apadharma there. And especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Paritranaya Sadhunam, he comes. So in the Hare Krishna. So in the discussion to the eight purports, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, so, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes one very nice, interesting thing. He tells, actually, Krishna, why do you have to appear? Why do you have to appear for destruction of demons and everything? Because even your great devotees are capable of destruction of dharma and increase of dharma. Means they can also rectify the situation. Why Krishna has to appear? So when does Krishna appear and when does the pure devotee appear? Like we find that before some few years back, the Kali Yuga situation was very bad. But Lord may not have appeared. He sent his devotee, Prabhupada, or sometimes he sends his devotees as Acharyas, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, Chaitanya. So why when does Lord come? So in the Vishwanath Thakur writes in the purport to this discussion, it is true. Actually, I come sometime when do I come? I come when some certain things are to be done which are ordinarily difficult for anyone else to do. So he said Paritrana Sadhuna. Means he said ki generally, especially those devotees who are very fallen, who are very gone, and especially they are devoted to me, and those whose hearts are longing for me and who are suffering, means because of their devotion, they are so devoted to me that they cannot live in this material world. And especially for killing evil-minded persons like Ravana, Keshi, Kamsa, who are giving suffering to my such great devotees. So he said, for that purpose I come. When my great pure devotees are in difficulty. So he said, and when they cause a trouble, that is the time I appear. If my great pure devotees, those who love me so much, and they are in the difficulty, for them I come, not just for killing any other demons. Like we find there are maybe so many other adharmic activities happening right now also. But if whenever especially a pure devotee is being troubled like anything, then Lord Krishna cannot tolerate. He personally will come to rectify the situation. Otherwise, in general, when adharma is increased and when other things are happening, then Krishna may send his devotee only. Any of his servant he will send, and then he can do. Okay. So this is in from the 8th verse, coming to the 9th verse. Now it is said the Lord's birth, appearance, and all his activities are divyam. And if anyone who tries to understand that this Lord's activity to be divyam, the result is he will never take birth in the material world again. So all of us are eagerly waiting that all of us are wanting that no more birth now. It's enough is enough now. So many births we have taken now, and every birth has been frustrating. So now this is a clue here. How we can make this birth as the last birth of our material existence by reading this verse of Bhagavad Gita and trying to apply this verse from Bhagavad Gita, the verse number 9. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सो अर्जुन. So if you see the words here, the words are very beautiful. Janma. Janma means my birth. Karma means my work. So my work, my birth and my work all are divyam. My birth and my work all are divyam. Anyone who understands tattvataha very properly, he doesn't misunderstand my pastimes, he doesn't misunderstand, he doesn't have doubt about this. Such a person who does not have doubt about my personality and who understands me nicely. He said, Taktva deham punarjanma. Such a person will never take birth again in this material world. Yes, Prabhuji, please read.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
Yeah, purport.
The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the sixth verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from the material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting the present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalist and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. And in the Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnation. Advidam Achyutam Anadim. Annata Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and at the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand that this fact very with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholar and empirics philosophers, as stated in Vedas. Evo Devo Nitya.
एको देवो नित्य लीलानुरक्तो भक्त व्यापी हृदि अंतरात्मा.
The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationship with his unallowed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in the verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attain the higher perfection stage of liberation. Simply by accepting the truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version Tattvam Ashi is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently he entered into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attain perfection, and this is confirmed by the following verse assertion. Tvam evam vidivati mrityam iti nanyata padanta vidiyate yanyaha. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Srinivastra Upanishad 3.8. There that there is no alternative mean that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply. So to speak, by leaking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholar, such empiric philosophers may assume very important role in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection.
So if you see this purport, there are certain statements which are very, very vital. Because this is the if we just understand this shloka, Krishna is telling one who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and disappearance. But okay, at least let's try to understand this shloka nicely. That because this is a very, very big result Krishna is promising. He's writing the guaranteed. Such a person has a guaranteed entrance into spiritual world. What is that? A person who understands transcendental nature of my appearance. Hmm? Now, if you take this verse, there is nothing other criteria being mentioned here. Okay, you have to get purified from all sins. You have to get purified. You have to chant this much. You have to do this much. He says, just understand transcendental nature of my appearance and activities. He said, after leaving this body, he will never take birth. Now, every one of us, every living entity has to leave the body after sooner or later. Now, which kind of body we are going to attain after leaving this body is not yet very clear. But if you want to make sure that we don't take a risk of going to any other species, then we have to apply this shloka. We have to understand transcendental nature of a Lord's appearance and activities. Now, the word divyam is being used here. Now, how is it that just by successfully knowing the transcendental nature of Lord's appearance and disappearance, one will go back home back to Godhead? So it is said Ramanujacharya and other acharyas they mentioned Divya. Divya means what? One should understand that this all activities are spiritual. They are not material activities. Whatever activities Lord performs are spiritual activities. So now if somebody has to understand that Lord's activities are spiritual activities, then first he has to understand that he himself is not body, his spirit soul, Lord is fully spirit soul. And Sridhar Swami also mentions Divya means uncommon activities. So one should hear uncommon activities of Supreme Lord. One should try to hear about uncommon activities, like the one which ordinary person cannot even perform. So Lord's all activities are uncommon only, and they are not related to this material world. So just by understanding this, now my question is, how is it that somebody just by understanding uncommon or that Lord's activities are transcendental, he will go back home back to Godhead? Anyone thought about this? How is it that such a person will go back home back to Godhead? Just by knowing this much, the Lord's activities are uncommon, Lord's activities are transcendental. We'll go back home back to Godhead. Any reflections about this? Devotees can speak something about how is it that?
So like anyone in this world gets attracted to the anything extraordinary.
Okay.
So and then um, he considers like that person as a role model or something, and like he becomes attached to him. So similarly, like if a living entity gets to know the extraordinary or spiritual activities of Krishna, so it's natural that he will become attached and basically to he will try best way to get to know more about him.
Very good, very good. Amazing answer. Thank you, Prabhu. You almost catch the right point. If you see somebody, he listens about Lord's activities to be uncommon. Just imagine, tomorrow Shaktiman appears in the world. Shaktiman comes in India. Shaktiman, I think all of you know, right? So all kids and everyone will speak about what will be the latest news in all the news channels. That Shaktiman has come, Shaktiman has come, or this has come. Everyone, every Prajalpa in every center of voice will be only about one thing only, right? Because his Shaktiman has come. So somebody performs very uncommon activities, then he becomes like a object of attention for everyone. So that's why in this shloka also, if you see, Acharya is also right. When one understands that Lord activities are uncommon and they are the most fascinating, the most, yena avatarena. There is an entire shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he said, one should try to hear about extraordinary pastimes of the Lord. By this, one's minds get captivated. And when somebody's mind is captivated, he will constantly think of me. And when he constantly thinks of me, all his sins are destroyed. And when all sins are destroyed, then he will come back to me. Simple. So he said that's why one should pay attention to hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. When one hears message of Srimad Bhagavatam, his mind is fascinated by these things. He will constantly, these thoughts will constantly go in his mind. And after constantly the thoughts go, his mind will be purified from all sinful activities. So this is the power. So here there is one more thing which is being mentioned. So he said one thing is one has to understand Lord's activities are eternal activity and also uncommon activity. So now there are two things which are also additionally given. Just knowing is not sufficient. One is one should have faith and knowledge. So one should be having a faith. There is a need of a faith in no, we should not accept just as an information. We should firmly believe whatever Lord is saying is the truth. Whatever Lord does is the truth, and that faith is required. So that's why there is one very important statement. Radhanath Maharaj mentions, faith is the substance of a Vaishnava. Faith is a substance of a Vaishnava. So, what is the commodity by which one can purchase Krishna? That is faith. Shraddha mulya matre namete shikhai खोड़ निताय तो बड़ सुखेर खबर गाय बड़ सुखेर खबर गाय. So he said, if one wants to purchase Krishna, then are two things. One is lolyam, greed, and another places it is mentioned, it is faith. Shraddha mulya matra. One can Shraddha mulya matra. That is the little faith is required. Little faith is required. So he said, faith is the substance of a Vaishnava. All of us know the story. Once upon a time, there was one daughter-in-law and one sasuma. So one Sasuma and Sas and Bahu, kahani har ghar ghar ki, right? So Sasuma and Bahu, they were going to they were going to meet one sadhu, and they went to meet they went to meet one sadhu, and actually they had a responsibility of giving milk to this sadhu every day. But unfortunately, what happened? That one day there was no boatman. There was no boatman there, and they got delayed while giving the doodh and kheer to that sadhu. Now this sadhu becomes very angry. How is it that you are coming so late? Every day I'm seeing you're coming 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late. Why you are coming so late? He said, Sadhuji, what to do? Nowadays it's winter season and there is no boat available. And boat wala becomes delayed and all. He said, why can't you manage properly? He said, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can cross the entire ocean of samsara. Can't you manage to come even small river like this? The sadhu said like that. And the words of sadhu had a profound impact on the girl there. The girl and Sasu and Bahu, they both of them. Now, what happened? This Bahu had a lot of faith, natural faith on sadhu. And next day onwards, she started coming on the right time. And Sadhu also got a question that, hey, by the way, how you are coming? Even I get delayed sometimes. I'm also not able to manage. How you are now coming on right time to give me the milk? And he said, Sadhu, thank you very much. You gave me yesterday formula, na? So I just walk on the river and I chant the holy names and I come now. So that is becoming very easy. And now the Sadhu got a doubt. Kya? Really? You walk on the river? He said, yeah, chanting, you said, na, chanting of the holy names has a great power. Just chant and walk. So I just, it's very easy working. And now Sadhu said, really? Are you shocked? Then so this Mataji said, yeah. And she easily crossed the river. And now Sadhu said, Arey, I only told, but I am only doubtful that whether this will work. And then Sadhu also tried to walk on the river. And he drowned inside. Then he said, then that Mataji told, Sadhu Mahatma, I think you are not chanting properly. You have to chant properly, then it will work. So we understand faith is a substance of Vaishnava. That's why here there is one statement which is mentioned again, that one has to understand this knowledge with faith. Right? So, taktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti arjuna. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. 4.10. Vitaraga bhayakrodha manmaya mamupashrita bhavo gnana tapasa utamadbhavamagata.
Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. Perfect. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the supreme absolute truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in the materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialists cannot even imagine that there is transcendental body, which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind, and they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they're informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again. And so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles of ocean, which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. This is kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all. Being embarrassed by so many theories and contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation, they become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are in a diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to the spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into supreme spiritual cause, and some of them disbelieve in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. This last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. One has to get rid of all three stages of attachment to the material world: negligence of spiritual life, fear of spiritual personal identity, and the concept of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these three stages of material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. The last stage of devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead. According to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.4.15 and 16, the science of devotional service, अदो श्रद्धा तथा साधु संगो तथा भजन क्रिया ततो अनर्थ निवृत्ति स्यात् ततो निष्ठा शुचिस्तथा अथा शक्तिस्ततो भावस्तथा प्रेमा भूयदान भूयदांचन्ति भूयदांचति साधकानाम् अयं प्रेम्णा प्रादुर्भावे भवेत् क्रमा. In the beginning, one must have preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to the attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or preliminary stage for transcendental love of God. The real love for God is called prema, the highest perfection stage of life. In the prima stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations that result in void philosophy. Then, one can ultimately attain to the abode of Supreme Lord.
Yes, bro. This is the very elaborate purport. I think it will require some discussion. Now, in the last verse, Krishna spoke about what is the result of attaining, what is the result of knowing him, right now? He spoke about that, so purpose of Krishna's appearance was spoken. Then result of properly knowing Krishna's appearance. So we have to properly know Krishna's appearance. So first result which was given was that one properly knows he will never take birth in the material world. Second, now what will happen when you properly know Krishna, you will love Krishna. This is the 10th. So this 10th verse is speaking about Those who are knowers of Krishna, they love Krishna. Because if you have really understood Krishna's nature to be transcendental and Krishna's glories properly, if we understand really, then we'll develop attraction for him, affection for him, and such a person will get freed from all attachment to this material world, fear of this material world, and anger from this material world. He will be fully absorbed in him, and he will always take shelter of the Lord, and he will develop love for Krishna. Like we know Bilva Mangal Thakur. When Bilva Mangal Thakur, or in the we know the past life, he was attracted to Chintamani, the prostitute, and then later Chintamani, he she gave him the transcendental knowledge, and after that she got freed from the attachment. He got fear, means he freed from the fear of the material world, anger and everything. Later he took full shelter in the in Lord, and he attained love for Krishna like this, Bilamangal Thakur. Or another example, those who attain love. So one who properly knows Prahlad Maharaj, always absorbed in thinking about Lord, and has no fear of no fear, no anger, no attachment to anyone. And such people attain love about Lord. Puta mad bhavam agata, mad bhavam. Now here word mad bhavam, some people misunderstand mad bhavam, this word, as they say mad bhavam means they become like me. So it is Mad Bhava means they attain love for me. That is what Acharyas are writing. Prabhupada is also writing. Such people, Puta, they become freed from sins. And Mad Bhavam means they attain love for me. That is also called as liberation. So this is that verse. Now in purport, Sri Prabhupada writes very powerful points. Now first, if you see, okay, I'll just try to highlight certain points from purport. You can just see here. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes here that who is a person for whom it is difficult to understand Lord's Divyam nature. Who is that person? So it is mentioned here. Who is a person who cannot understand Lord's nature? Because one who understands, they will go back to Godhead. So he said, those who are very attached to the bodily concept of life. So he said, those who are very attached to bodily concept of life, they imagine themselves to be body and their nation and everything. Such people, they even cannot imagine. Prabhupada is writing here, such people cannot imagine that Lord has a different form. One who is too attached. So it generally becomes very difficult for them. So Prabhupada is writing, people even apply bodily logic to like swine flu was there. They put this on the mask on Lord. They give cricket bat to the Lord, and so they apply material logic even to the Lord. So he said, such a person, those who are too materially absorbed, for them this idea is very difficult. So it is said they give an example that living entities like are bubbles of the ocean, and they merge into ocean, and they become like God. So many spiritualists, they have this understanding that we also become God, or we merge into the existence of Lord. So but he said, Srila Prabhupada is comparing for those who are too attached. So he said they take shelter of they take shelter of Mayavad like this, or either they may take shelter of some hallucinations or intoxication. So what Krishna is mentioning here, that the beginning of Krishna consciousness is that one should have a desire for bhakti. One should have a desire for self-realization. If we have desire for bhakti, then immediately we'll get a sadhu sangha. And immediately after sadhu sangha, then one will develop adu shraddha, tata sadhu sangha, tata bhajan kriya, tata anarthanurati nishta. Then the taste will come, and this is the process. So in this process, what is process to develop love for Lord? Because what is the process to develop love for Lord? What is the process? This one, Adav, Shraddha, and all these are the limbs of bhakti. If we carefully hear about the Lord, then slowly, the love for Lord will manifest. So this is being mentioned here. Okay. Actually, there are many lot of details are given about the Acharya purports. Now we are going to the next theme now. The verse number 11 to 15. We are jumping into the next theme. So in the last two shlokas, the theme was about what is the result of knowing the Lord properly. Such a person will get freedom from birth and death, and such a person will develop love for Krishna. Now in the verse 11 to 15, there is a one theme which is coming is how Krishna is the creator and he's everything of all the paths of spiritual life, whether it is karma yoga, whether it is jnana yoga, whether it is bhakti yoga. It is Krishna only who created that path, and he is the only the goal of that path. So Krishna is the ultimate goal of any path. That is mentioned in verse number 11 to 15. And Krishna will now speak about actually I only created all the paths. So, karma yoga path, Gnana yoga path, bhakti yoga path. Because you want to understand me, I created all this path. And it is me only who is the goal of all this path. It is me only. So he is going to give about how I reciprocate with the worshipper's mood. Those people who the way worshipper worships me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. If they have material desires, I fulfill their material desires. If they have spiritual desires, I fulfill their spiritual desires. So based on how devotees approach me, I try to fulfill their desires. I reciprocate with them accordingly, and I give them realization accordingly. So the Krishna, he gives benefit to a person based on person's love for him. So those people who do not have love for Krishna, they get just material things. But those people who have love for Krishna, they are not cheated and they are given the highest thing. So based on one's degree of realization, based on one's faith, and based on one's love, Krishna reciprocates. So the very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita will come now, 11th shloka. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तां सथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमान वर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of Pritha. Purport. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestation. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence and is all the pervading Supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to the one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as a devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as supreme master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to the different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocation for of of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the lords in the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associates with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord, and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord. Having extinguished their individuality, some of them who are not firmly situated even in impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desire for activities. They are not admitted into spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fructive workers, the Lord awards the desired result of their prescribed duties as Yagneshwara, and those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remains imperfect, as it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo udaradita trivena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after deliberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness.
So it's a very amazing verse. So yeah, Kaushik was writing the first 1 to 10 verse is E in the ears. Okay, yeah, right. So what was the acronym for that? E. E is eternal education. Eternal education. Then actually it is not about 1 to 10 verses. It is, I think, 1 to 10 verses are about eternal education. And then comes is accurate understanding. Verse 11 to 15, they know something about some religion and something about, so I said, Krishna is telling they know some people know only karma yoga section. So now accurate understanding will come. Verse number 11 to 15 about will be about accurate understanding. R will be about removing reactions, and S will be about sacrifice. So we find all of us are looking for some satisfaction in this world. We find we are doing so many different types of activities for satisfaction. So once upon a time, okay, I'll just tell you some nice prasadam wala pasta. How many of you like cake? You've taken some sort of cake. You've tasted some sort of cake prasadam in your life till now. And today is a fast breaking prasadam. So those who will answer, they will get fast breaking cake prasadam. Okay. So if you see, once upon a time, one devotee had made a cake. And this cake was a very multi-layer cake. And it was with cherries and creams and toppings and everything. And don't worry, it was offered to Krishna also. And it came. Now, after when this prasadam was being served, or this cake was being served, everyone had a different expectations. They were anticipating, wow, it is going to be joyful. I want that cherry wala section. Oh, I want that cream wala section, and I want that section. And everyone was anticipating like anything. But what happened after taking that cake on the plate and taking the first morsel? The person they came to know that, oh, there is no sugar only in the cake. By mistake, the sugar was not added only. All other things are there. And now the great expectation was there. The cake will appear very sweet and tasty, but it is not appearing like that at all. It is appearing so the person thinks, okay, okay, let me try some other items. Let me do some other. I will take some sabji, I'll take some juice and all. But still, he has hope. He feels, oh, I think I tasted the cake from this corner of the portion. Maybe I should taste the cake from another portion. And then it will be more clear. By mistake, it may happen that some particular portion will not have got sugar. But again, he tries. And again, there is no taste. Then he thinks, maybe I might have taken some juice before. I should take some tikka thing before, and then the cake may appear tasty. Let's add spice to the food. Then he eats tikka, but still the cake doesn't appear sweet. So we find there was a great amount of satisfaction which was expected from this, but the person is not finding satisfaction. Why? The basic ingredient is missing. What is the basic ingredient in the cake? The most
Sugar.
important, that is sugar. If that sugar is missing, no matter what kind of cake you prepare, what flavor you prepare, it is not going to give happiness. Similarly, if you see in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is writing that what is that basic ingredient? That is basic ingredient is gratitude and servitude. So he's writing about service attitude. So in this verse, the person based on one's okay, I'll just highlight certain points from Purport again. Just read this here. So Prabhupada is writing, that's why impersonalist people, they aruya krichena param padam tata. Even after attaining the greatest of realizations and going to Brahma Jyoti, despite of that, they again take back to the social service and they fall down. And why? Because this is the natural attitude of every person to serve. And when this basic ingredient is missing, that is service attitude or the rendering loving service to the Lord, no matter what all different angles you tried, whether you tried social service, whether you try Brahma Jyoti, whether you do karma, jnana, it is not going to satisfy a person. So here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing, impersonalists, they are trying to commit spiritual suicide. They are trying to commit spiritual suicide. And consequently, they cannot relish the taste of rendering seva to the Lord. So Prabhupada is writing, the seva to the Lord is very, very tasty and sweet. But they are like trying to lick the honey bottle from the outside, yogis and the jnanis. So here in this verse, basically one thing which is being mentioned here, how Krishna reciprocates with the worshipper's mood. So in the manner and the mood people surrender unto Lord, based on that Krishna reciprocates with them. And indirectly or directly, all paths are created by me. He's telling karma is created by me, jnana is created by me, yoga is created by me, and ultimate goal of the culmination of all the paths is me only. So this 11th verse is speaking about this one. Ye yatha ma prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. Okay, someone can please read this one. This is a very nice one. But please read this one.
Your dedicated devotees consider your birth and activities to be eternal, but others, such as jnanis, surrendering to you for the purpose of perfecting jnana or other goals, do not consider your birth and activities to be eternal.
Continue.
Yes, yes. In whatever way they worship me, prapadyante, I also forgive them fruits. I also give them the fruits of their worship, bhajami, in an appropriate manner. The meaning in this, those who think that my birth and activities are eternal and having a particular desire for those pastimes, worship and please me. And I, because I am the Lord, can respond or not respond or respond in a different way than they expect, but making them my associates. I appear and disappear with them in this material in this world at the appropriate time, in order to give my birth and pastimes the eternal nature. Favoring them at every moment, I bestow upon them the fruit of their worship. The jnanis and others who surrender unto me while thinking of my birth and activities are temporary, and thinking of my deity form as material. I throw those jnanis again and again to the moves of Maya with its temporary birth and action, and bestow upon them the sorrows of birth and death. This is the appropriate fruit of their worship. They receive temporary bodies because they think my body is temporary. But those jnanis who accept the eternal nature of my birth and activities, consider my deity form to be Satchit Ananda, and surrender to me for perfection of their jnana, I liberate those jnanis, since they desire the destruction of their gross and subtle bodies, and I give them the bliss of Brahman. I bestow upon them desired result of the worship, the destruction of birth and death born from ignorance. Therefore, not only devotees surrender to me, but rather everyone, sarvasa, all men, jnanis, karmis, yogis, and worshippers of the devatas follow my path. They surrender either directly or indirectly. Jnana, karma, and other processes are all my path, since I am the essence of all those paths.
So now here Krishna is speaking mainly about why this correct understanding about Supreme Lord is very important. Because if correct understanding is not there, and if someone has incorrect understanding, so he said actually everyone is going to follow me only, he said. But you follow with correct understanding or improper understanding? Everyone is going to follow me only, and based on understanding you have developed for me, based on the knowledge you have developed for about me, about my actual position, based on that I reciprocate. He said if somebody considers me to be a doll only or made of stone only, then I reciprocate with them on that way. Like some people were asking, Prabhu, I saw so many emperors came and Yavanas came and they destroyed so many deities of Hindu deities or Hindu deities or like deities of temples. And why did Lord not interfere with them? See, if Lord wants, he can interfere also like Narsingh Dev anytime. But the person is approaching him with understanding that he's a doll only and he's stone only. Then he has to he reciprocates with him. Okay, you think that I'm stone, I'm reciprocating with you as a stone only. And if you think that I'm a lord, I'm Archa Vigra Avatar. So now this verse is so very important. What kind of understanding we have developed for the deities and the devotees? Because based on that, Lord is going to reciprocate with us. So here, and ultimately everyone is surrendering to me only. So it is not that the Yavanas who are coming and killing me, they said they're also following my path only. Krishna is saying. Because they thought me to be a stone. I reciprocated them as a stone only. So based on the level of understanding a person has developed, And that's why this section is coming. One should develop accurate understanding about Supreme Lord. Hmm? Just one more verse we'll take and then we'll stop. Okay, 12. काङ्क्षन्त कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्ता इह देवता क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. So काङ्क्षतः कर्मणां. So he said now this discussion is mainly about based on the kind of faith a person has developed. So some people are considering to be doll. I reciprocate like doll. Some people who think that I am the order of fatal benedictions, or some people think I am also like one of the demigods. So based on the kind of faith which they have developed, they worship different devatas. Yeah, please read.
Translation: Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods quickly. Of course, men get results from the fruitive works in this world. Purport: There is a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world, and men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, uh, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different from the god, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas says, Nityo Nityanam, God is one, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme God is one, Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with the powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with the different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God, Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by the demigods such as Brahma and Shiva, Ishwar, Shiva Virenchi Nutam, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.33. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of the anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Here, Devata denotes a powerful man or demigods of this material world, but Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to the material creation. Even Sripad Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayan or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Vrutanyana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results, but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for the less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness, and he has no need to worship the partly demigods for the some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods in this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this world, however, human society is mad after the temporary things such as the material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, people worship the demigods or powerful men in the human society. If a man gets some mis- ministership in the ministership in the government by the worshipping the political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore uh, now not doing to the so-called
Okay,
leaders
keep
or
going,
being
keep going.
nothing to the so-called leaders or being big guns in the order to achieve temporary boons and they indeed achieve such things. Such men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardship of the material existence. They they are all after the sense enjoyment, and to get the little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to the worship endowed with the living entities known as demigods. Empowered by the living entities known as demigods, this verse indicates that people are rarely interested in the Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in the material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity.
So now this is the entire shloka talking about the results of demigod worship. So what the process of demigod worship? What is the result they attain? And what is the long-lasting effect of that those benedictions? Or whether they are long-lasting, whether they are temporary. So Srila Prabhupada is writing, clarifying the great misconception about gods and demigods of this material world. So he said people, many of them have a great confusion. Like once I had recently gone for a book distribution and to one of the places in schools. And the teachers, they appeared to be very spiritual, very religious. They even sponsored the entire, for entire school, they sponsored 200 Gitas, 300 Gitas. They took me in cars and they were very welcoming and everything. And I was happy that, oh, such a school is existing, that they are welcoming and they're very happy and they're distributing books to Gita. And they started also singing with me a lot of songs about Krishna and bhajans about Krishna. And they were singing. I said, wow, Kaliyuga ka school hai ya kaun sa school hai? It's a very, they were very, very nice. And they sponsored also. They only purchased the book. They only took me to school. They made me announce and they made distribute. They give money also and everything. I was surprised. And they said, we are also great devotees of Krishna. But he said, actually, you ISKCON people, now you do too much Krishna, Krishna only. It is, we should not be too much Krishna. We should be all demigods. Ultimately, we believe all demigods are one only. Ultimately, all demigods are one only, whether you worship anyone. Then now problem was I was not able to speak directly because to one principal was there, one director was there. So I was trying to explain a little bit philosophy politely, gently. But they, oh, that much we should not discriminate. Actually, all demigods are one only. This, that. Even actually, and they started speaking all the hodgepodge philosophy, khichdi philosophy, that we also ultimately, even politicians are God only. They are also empowered with so much this. And now I was becoming too much. I said, now I should speak or what? Somehow I said, okay, Bhagavita is going. Let Bhagavita go first. All students should get Bhagavita, then I will speak. So you see, there are great, even there are among the great scholarly people, directors, principals, they are appearing too religious, pious, and all. But the understanding about this concept of demigods is not very clear. Even sometimes in the devotee families, one devotee, he had a backlog examination, sir. So he was on in voice center only. He had a backlog examination. Now, this devotee, suddenly we found on Monday he's going somewhere. I said, Prabhu, where? And he starts purchasing some leaves, start purchasing some milk, and he goes somewhere. I said, Prabhu, what happened? He said, no, Prabhu, actually, he did not tell to anyone. Secretly, devotees found. This devotee was secretly going to Lord Shiva temple and offering Bel Patra and Abhishek to the Lord Shiva. एंड वी आस्क्ड प्रभु व्हाई प्रभु प्रभु देखो ना प्रभु जी नहीं अभी नहीं देखो एटलीस्ट मैं पहले मैंने टीचर को पैसा दिया था मतलब ही वाज अ वेरी न्यू पर्सन जैसे मैंने टीचर को पैसा दे के पास करने का ट्राई किया पकड़ा गया मैंने चीटिंग किया एग्जाम में वो भी पकड़ा गया और आईडी हो गया अभी अभी मैं बोला अभी आप क्या कर रहे हो अभी बोले देखो भाई भगवान कृष्णा जो है वो बहुत टाइम लगाते हैं डिजायर्स फुलफिल करने के लिए वो करते नहीं शुद्धिकरण भी लाते हैं अभी देखो मेरा बैकलॉग है अभी बैकलॉग क्लियर नहीं हुआ ना तो मेरा भक्ति उड़ जाएगा और एकदम फिलोसॉफिकली जस्टिफाई किया अगर मुझे भक्ति करवाना है तो मुझे अभी पहले पास करना पड़ेगा तो मेरे माता पिता वॉइस से निकाल देंगे मुझे एंड देन ही स्टार्टेड वर्शिपिंग लॉर्ड शिवा एंड ही सेड लॉर्ड शिवा ही सेड रेगुलरली एवरी मंडे एंड एक्चुअल में लॉर्ड शिवा ने उनका बैकलॉग निकाल दिया इट वाज अ मिरेकल 8 बैकलॉग 10 बैकलॉग थे उस डिवोटी को आईडी होने वाला था और सडनली पूरा सब निकल गया मैं बोला प्रभु पक्का ना आपने चीटिंग नहीं किया ना या टीचर को खिलाया नहीं ना कुछ घूस घूस खिलाया नहीं ना ड्राइव वगैरह नहीं मैं पढ़ाई तो किया नहीं कैसे हुआ बोले वो शिव जी की कृपा है so now this is the problem of going to demigods also. Sometimes we believe that demigods fulfill the desires very quickly, and then we take them very, very seriously, and then we have less faith on Krishna also. Now, here Krishna is mentioning that what is the result of worshipping demigods. So I said one should understand it is like a cheating only. The way one is getting a shortcut to pass an examination, one takes a shortcut by cheating an examination or giving a bribe to a teacher. And it may appear that अरे वाह, हमने साल भर पढ़ाई किया, मैंने छोटा सा ब्राइब दे दिया और मेरा पास हो गया. देखो क्या मेहनत है तुम्हारा इतना इंजीनियरिंग करने का. But it is, see, cheating, this all benedictions will not last longer. As soon as he goes to company, पूरा पोल खुल जाएगा. You cannot bribe a company that you take me in company. Even if you bribe it, then you will not last longer. So we have to understand, similarly, the benedictions offered by demigods, they are like temporary benedictions. Just for a, okay, you cannot do this, okay, just go. They're not very long lasting benedictions. So like there is a recently, and people also a misconception about misunderstanding about Lord. They consider any foolish man also to be Lord. Like I am currently in one of the cities. So chief minister of a state has a birthday, and they have spent around 50 lakh rupees on in the city. 50 lakh rupees for a birthday of a person, just putting his banners and posters on the LEDs and everywhere, and they have mentioned Jayanti of such person, that such a politician का जयंती है, बर्थडे है, he's still alive, he's not dead yet, उनका जयंती मना रहे हैं, and they're celebrating 50 लाख रुपीस के ऊपर उन्होंने स्पेंड किया केवल फ्लेक्स में. So we find that people, they make even ordinary person into God like that. They give such kind of treatment to Lord. So here it is said that all the demigods are like bubbles in the ocean. Kamala dala jala jivana talamala. They are there today, they will be gone tomorrow. So he said, so here in Krishna is mentioning about one vital theme here, that those people who worship demigods and they get success in their material work. So it is said actually such a path is also inspired by me only in one way, because they wanted such kind of worship. They wanted cheap results. So it is ultimately everyone is going to follow me only. Now, okay, I'll just pause here. So the next verse will speak about, I have heard that path of bhakti and gnana, they give liberation. But we have heard that path of karma leads to bondage. Karma is leading to bondage. Bhakti and Jnana give liberation. So now you said that you only created all the paths, but all paths are not giving the same results. So is it that some path is better and some path is not better, or for whom it is better? So this confusion, he speaks. So in the next theme onwards, verse number 13 onwards, Krishna will speak about, it is he who created four varnas, and for four varnas different paths were created. Some for jnana, karma, and bhakti, and all different paths were created according to the varnas of people. So based on the kind of varna an ashrama person is, so there are different paths which are there, and I'm impartial in giving the results. Krishna will speak about it. So I think in the next week we'll try to cover this entire section. So till verse number 16, there is another section. We'll try to cover from that. Okay. Any questions, Prabhuji, or any short discussion? Anyone? We are just for 3-4 more minutes. Any quick question or okay. As Krishna states, every path leads to him. So all paths ultimately culminate in bhakti. Does it mean that I am fortunate that I have been given introduction to the best path directly? Actually, it is not that way. Every path leads to him means every path leads to him, but it is not about bhakti, Prabhu. Like some yathama prapadente tam satema bhajamyam. So if you will see now Yavana considering Lord to be a doll, and he said ultimately is following me only, and I'm reciprocating with him only. So he said he ultimately is also following me only, because I am only giving the, because he wants that I am doll, I am giving him faith that I am doll. It is me who is giving him faith. So he said ultimately is following me only. So in that sense, he's following him. But it is not that all paths lead to same goal. It is not that if you catch a train to Delhi and you expect that I'll reach somewhere, I'll reach to some South India, it may not happen that way. So you can reach Mumbai. So all paths don't lead to same goal. And even if it is a very indirect method, very indirect method. So yeah, we are all fortunate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the best path directly. That is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's great kripa. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhus. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhavatsa patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. So now there are only two more chapters now remaining. 4th, 5th and 6th. 6 chapters is small. So you will not have to tolerate me after some 3 more chapters. So you have to just tolerate me for 3 more chapters now. And then we'll have many wonderful. So you will get a cake with sugar. Till now you are getting cake without sugar. After next session onwards, you will get cake along with sugars and cherries. Haribo.